Boston News, first at 4, continues.
Today, President Biden and his Justice Department announced new executive regulations to address homemade weapons known as ghost guns. The goal is to classify them the same as regular firearms. The president also introduced his pick to lead the federal agency charged with enforcing gun laws and requirements. CBS's Deborah Alfarone has more from the White House.
From the Rose Garden at the White House, President Biden proposed new rules to regulate the manufacture and sale of ghost guns.
This is the gun. It's not hard to put together.
Ghost guns are homemade firearms that can be assembled using a 3D printer or with kits purchased online. They lack serial numbers, which makes it impossible for law enforcement to trace. The new proposed rules would require gun makers to include serial numbers, be federally licensed, run background checks, and keep purchase records as long as they are in business.
Because of these updates, law enforcement will have additional crime gun intelligence to stop gun violence.
The new regulations are likely to face lawsuits from manufacturers and gun rights groups. Monday, the president also announced the nomination of Steve Dettelbach to the head of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF. President Biden nominated the former Ohio U.S. attorney after he pulled his previous nominee due to bipartisan concerns from lawmakers.
I promise to support the men and the women of the ATF and to do everything in our power to protect the people of this nation every single day.
If confirmed, Dettelbach would become the first permanent ATF director in 7 years. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
The White House continues to call on Congress to pass gun legislation, but that's not likely to happen in the equally divided U.S. Senate, where some Republican lawmakers have already come out against the president's new ghost guns rules. Today, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy tweeted, quote, "More gun laws that restrict the Second Amendment won't make our city safer. We need to punish criminals, not criminalize law-abiding gun owners." With spring break, prom, and graduation season approaching, there's a national effort underway to keep teens from underage drinking and driving. The latest numbers from the U.S. Department of Transportation report about 28 people in the U.S. die in drunk driving crashes. That is nearly one person every 52 minutes. Lisa McMorris recalls the day her 12-year-old son Andrew was hit by a drunk driver in 2018 while walking with his Boy Scout troop on the side of a road.
They put the phone next to Andrew, and I said, "Andrew, Mommy's coming, Mommy's coming."
Mothers Against Drunk Driving launched a national campaign called Power Talks 21 to encourage parents to talk about underage drinking and driving with their kids. April is also Alcohol Awareness Month.
And some of us still on the mild side this afternoon with temperatures not far from 70. Others, well, the overcast and the showers are already moving back in. Outside right now, I-75 at Mount Vernon, overcast with us, and we can see some of the wet spots on the roadway. That's giving us an indication that we've got some rain moving in. Mountain Parkway at Slade, we showed this to you just a few minutes ago, still mostly dry at the moment, but that dark overcast with us. Temperatures where it has not yet rained in the upper 60s to near 70. And where it has rained, well, we're down into the low to mid-60s at this hour. Even look up at Moorhead, 57, and it's 59 in Lexington and Ashland. So we continue to see rain pushing in from the west, particularly heavy areas along and just south of Somerset as you go towards western portions of Pulaski County into Wayne County this afternoon. And we're not done yet. Still watching this sprawling system move across the Mississippi and Ohio valleys. And this is just the first of a couple we'll see the first half of this work week. And you're definitely going to want to go ahead and keep that WIMT weather app handy. Not necessarily for tonight in terms of the severe weather. Now, you will have access to updated radar in the palm of your hand. But as we head later on in the forecast this week, we could be looking at the possibility for strong to severe thunderstorms moving in. I'll have the details on those and the main threats we can expect coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. If you drive past the Child Advocacy Center in Lexington this month, you'll see something different. Blue pinwheels are planted all around the front of the center to bring awareness to Child Abuse Prevention Month. Wynn Stevens is the executive director of the Children's Advocacy Center of the Bluegrass. He was joined by dozens of community partners in Lexington to recognize April as Child Abuse Awareness Month and plant a pinwheel as a demonstration.
We know that if kids get the help they need, almost always they go back to being the happy, healthy kids they were meant to be, but somebody has to intercede. Somebody has to step in and help get that child the assistance that they need.
Lexington Mayor Linda Gorton delivered a proclamation making this entire month Child Abuse Awareness Month in Lexington to hopefully raise even more awareness. A man charged with assaulting a police officer at a middle school basketball game in Woodford County is now facing new charges. Chelsea Jones has more.
Paris police say Mark West pulled a handgun on an officer trying to arrest him. Earlier this year, he was accused of fighting a school resource officer during a middle school basketball game in Woodford County. Police say West smelled of alcohol and was unsteady on his feet. They say West tried to punch the officer who tried to arrest him. Last week, a Woodford County grand jury indicted West, and the court issued another warrant for his arrest. The Bourbon County Sheriff's Office assisted Paris police in serving the warrant at West's home in Paris. The arrest citation states Officer Scott Johnson and deputies knocked on the front door and a female answered. They say West entered the living room and grabbed the female, saying, quote, "Don't let them in." West tried to close the door, but Johnson kicked it in. Police say West pulled a handgun on Johnson and raised it to his chest. The officer slapped the gun out of West's hands and brought him to the ground. Police say West refused to give Johnson his hands despite being told to stop resisting arrest. Eventually, Johnson and deputies secured the firearm and arrested West. He was transported to the Bourbon Community Hospital for medical clearance. Police say Officer Johnson was injured during the altercation and was seen by medical professionals. West is being held in the Bourbon County Regional Detention Center. In Paris, Chelsea Jones, WKYT.
West is already facing a long list of charges in connection to the basketball game arrest. He's now been charged with wanton endangerment of a police officer and resisting arrest. $1 million was gifted to the University of Louisville in Breonna Taylor's name. Taylor inspired murals and paintings, and one in particular from Amy Sherald is creating a lasting effect. The portrait landed on the cover of Vanity Fair in September 2020. Sherald sold it, put that money into a trust, and gifted $1 million to the university. That money will help create a law school fellowship and undergraduate scholarships.
So we're providing access and opportunity for those that want to go into social justice, that won't change, that want to fight against access, that wants to fight against inequality, participation, human rights, all the different elements of social justice, and being able to provide someone with the academic readiness without them worrying about the financial side of things is extremely important and valuable.
The scholarships will prioritize students who want to work to fight social inequality or law. The annual Mint Juleps for Charity cups were unveiled today at Churchill Downs in Louisville. There will be 18 gold cups that sell for $2,500 and 130 silver cups that will sell for $1,000. The cups feature red rubies in the shape of a horseshoe. The proceeds will benefit Old Friends Farm, which is home to retired thoroughbreds, including some past Derby winners. With Easter right around the corner, parents and caregivers will be stocking up on candy and toys to fill their kids' Easter baskets. But there are a few things veterinarians and shelter workers want you to avoid buying for Easter. Dr. William Higgins at Town & Country Animal Clinic in Hazard says it's important to avoid gifting bunnies, chicks, or ducklings because these animals require more attention and care than most people are aware of. And more often than not, these animals end up in shelters or on the streets once the novelty wears off.
And a lot of times people aren't prepared for what that commitment is. You know, it's more than just feeding and watering. There's husbandry, there's also medical care. There are things that they need that a lot of people don't think through.
Dr. Higgins adds that buying stuffed animals as an alternative to bringing home a live one is a better option and will last a lot longer too. As Record Store Day gets closer, local record stores are worried there will not be enough vinyls to go around. Owners of Queen City Records in Hazard say it's unknown if they will receive the number of records they ordered. The store gets its records distributed through Ingram Entertainment, Inc. Vice President of Sales and Marketing Steve Harkins says they are one of the 4 main distributors for vinyl in the United States.
In some cases, retailers can buy from a label who has their own distribution, but most independent record retailers like a Queen City will buy from a wholesaler / distributor such as ours.
Harkins says another issue is supply and demand. Manufacturers for vinyl records are not making enough to go around. And it's official, Fiona the hippo is going to be a big sister. BB is pregnant. Her bundle of joy is expected to arrive later this summer. The Cincinnati Zoo made that announcement today. The zoo says they were not planning to welcome a baby this soon, but nature ignored their calendar. They say the hippo team is excited but nervous. The soon-to-be father, Tucker, arrived at the zoo in September of last year. Coming up on First at 4, how the war in Ukraine, more than 6,000 miles away, is affecting the price of eggs here in the United States.
And cold air is gone, spring temperatures are back, but will spring storms follow? I've got those details on next.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they happen.